Lincoln Riley's first call when he accepted the USC job back in 2021 was to 2023 five-star quarterback Malachi Nelson. Nelson had committed to Riley in Oklahoma that past summer, choosing the Sooners over his hometown Trojans. Things all changed when Riley left Norman to take the job in LA, which led to Malachi rethinking his decision and ultimately flipping his commitment to USC. Since then, things have sadly gone downhill for Nelson, as he went from the top player in the 2023 recruiting cycle to a backup at a group of 5 school. This video hurts to make, but is the fall of Malachi Nelson. Or is it? Malachi Nelson's story is just getting started. It's not time to hit the panic button just yet, and I'll explain why in this video. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also let me know which player you want me to cover in the future videos in the comment section below. Malachi Nelson grew up in Southern California. When he was young, his father didn't see his son as some type of football prodigy, but did see he had a pretty good football IQ. He generally knew what everyone's assignment was on the field and would line players up in the right position. Malachi's father, Eric, would coach him throughout his youth career. They would sit down and watch film together and talk through their game plans. As Malachi's love for the game grew, his father and the other coaches started to put more and more on his plate due to how smart he was. Eric told The Athletic, "It sounds crazy, but he was calling audibles at 9 years old. Coaches at that level weren't complex with their blitzing or anything like that, so we're like, if our quarterback could see these things coming and check into a call that would beat that, man, how great would that be?" He would stop and start changing the plays, changing lineman calls, and all that stuff. Nelson started to work with one of the most prominent quarterback coaches and developers, Danny Hernandez. Nelson's natural throwing motion grabbed Hernandez's attention, along with his arm strength. Nelson made everything look so effortless. Hernandez told The Athletic, "I'd give him something new and he could always handle it. There was nothing overwhelming. Whether I was giving him something with a concept, something with certain footwork, he could process the information. I'd give him the explanation after, but I could tell he could understand where I was going with a lot of that stuff. So outside of the elite arm talent, the mechanics, I think those are things that stood out to me." Hernandez had a streak of quarterbacks earning scholarships in 8th grade. Bryce Young, Tyler Buckner, and Malik Murphy had all received their first offers in 8th grade, and Nelson continued the streak himself when he received his first Division I offer from Auburn after leading his Pop Warner team, the Garden Grove Bulldogs, to the Pop Warner Super Bowl in Florida. The streak has since been extended to 5 as of 2020. Hernandez told The Athletic, "When a coach is talking to me and they'll say, 'Hey, where does he compare to some of these guys?' With all honesty, I could say he's this much better than those particular guys in these areas at this age. He probably is in certain areas, has potential to be better than those guys in a lot of things he's doing." Nelson attended Los Alamitos High School, and head coach Ray Fenton told The Athletic, "You know he's going to come in and be a diva. Reality is, he's nothing like that." Going into his freshman year, the Griffins returned senior quarterback Cade McConnell, who had led the team to a 9-2-1 record in 2018. The Nelsons expected Malachi to sit behind the senior for the year and learn under McConnell. The plans were quickly scrapped when the offense struggled to get going 3 weeks into the season. Nelson was put into the lineup against Long Beach Poly and made his first start the following week against Carson. McConnell and Nelson would split time the remainder of the season. He finished the season throwing for 883 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Hernandez's harshest criticism was that he felt Nelson was forcing too many throws into tight windows. Going into Nelson's sophomore year, Eric told The Athletic, "The game is going to go back to being so slow to him because he's been there before. The fact that they threw him to the wolves and he didn't get eaten, I think it's great experience for him." After coaching his son so long throughout his youth, Eric is now trying to take a more relaxed approach. After offers came in for Alabama and Ohio State, a switch flipped for Malachi as he went from not wanting to just be the best quarterback in his grade, but the best quarterback regardless of grade. Malachi told The Athletic, "I feel like this is my season, so I want to show everybody what I can do." While Hernandez added, "We're going to take an approach of, oh, it's my sophomore year, I've got 3 years to do this. No, let's be the guy right now." Due to the global health crisis, California would postpone their football season to the spring, where they would play an abbreviated 6-game schedule. Nelson impressed, completing 74% of his passes for 1,513 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Going into his junior season, many looked forward to seeing the Nelson-Makai Lemon combo for the full season. The two have been playing together since they were 7 years old. Nelson spoke on the season at the time saying, "Playing was up in the air, but we got 6 games in. It was better than nothing. I'm excited to be able to finally get back to a full season, be able to put up real full season numbers, be able to play with the team." Nelson impressed, throwing for 2,690 yards, 39 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, while also rushing for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Los Alamitos finished the year 9-2, losing to St. John Bosco's in the season finale. Nelson finished the year being named the Press Telegram Player of the Year. Getting into his senior year, Nelson impressed at the Elite 11 and used that momentum to put together a strong senior season where he threw for 2,898 yards, 35 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, while rushing for 2 touchdowns on the ground. He helped Los Alamitos win the Sunset League, going 5-0 and 9-3 overall, making it to the CIF Southern Sectional Division I semifinals. He was named an Under Armour All-American and Polynesian Bowl All-American, and was also named the Gatorade California Football Player of the Year. According to 24/7 Sports Composite, Malachi Nelson was a 5-star recruit who was the number 5 quarterback in his class and 13th best player nationally. ESPN had him as the top player in the 2023 recruiting cycle, though. As I mentioned earlier, his first Division I offer came from Auburn in 8th grade, and during an 8-day time span in October of his freshman year, Nelson received offers from Oregon, Georgia, LSU, and Alabama, along with Ohio State a few weeks later. At one point, Nelson had offers from 5 of the top 6 ranked teams. Nelson spoke on the situation, saying, "It's a blessing for me to be that one guy. Some of these schools are saying they're not going to offer another 2023 quarterback, or you say yes or no. They want me to be there, they're showing me love." Nelson has since collected 25 different Division I offers, according to 24/7 Sports. Going into the Elite 11 regional camp, Nelson had the idea of where he was going to sign. The Oklahoma Sooners had offered Nelson that January, and given their track record at quarterback, they were expected to be contenders. Yet many thought Nelson was going to stay home and play for USC. Eric told The Athletic, "We were just big on relationships at the time. When that offer came in, the relationship with USC was so strong and so good. For me, it was like, whoa. But for Malachi, I don't know if it was as big because he never really cared about 100 different offers or one specific offer. He was just looking for someone to have a good relationship with. And I was thinking things were going to go in the right direction with USC at the time." Nelson was the priority for the Trojans going back to the 2020 season, as they called and texted him a lot. They developed a strong relationship with the young quarterback, and even told him they were not going to offer another quarterback in the class. The relationship between the two would be strained in mid-April when USC offered another quarterback, going against their promise to the Nelsons. Helton called Nelson, telling him they were going to develop a relationship with another quarterback, along with Nelson, but this still caught the family by surprise after making a promise so many months beforehand. This broke some trust between the two and opened up the door for Oklahoma, who was really gaining some momentum. The family understood what USC needed to do was best for USC, but didn't understand why they would make the promise in the first place, if they weren't going to keep it. At least that's the message I picked up on through multiple articles. Nelson told The Athletic, "The biggest thing for them was they didn't want to miss out on having the opportunity to go somewhere else. Then them having no one. They have to take a kid in this class. It's a big class for them, and I understand it. They kind of said one thing and then did another, so we'll see." The family loved everything about Oklahoma, but had never been to the state of Oklahoma. They would attend OU's Champs U barbecue, and they would fall in love with the campus. Nelson set his commitment date for July 18th, 2021, and wore Oklahoma shorts to the Elite 11 regional camp weeks beforehand. Nelson would choose to commit to Lincoln Riley and the Sooners, continuing the trend of top 10 ranked quarterbacks committing to the Sooners every other year. Then Lincoln Riley would take the USC job, and Malachi would begin to rethink his decision. Nelson wrote on Twitter, "One of the things that attracted me most to OU, other than its rich history and amazing fans, was the stability in the coaching staff and their ability to develop the quarterback position. In the light of recent events and changes, my family and I believe it's best if I decommit from OU at this time. I'm not opening my recruitment, I just want to see how everything transpires." Nelson was one of Riley's first phone calls the Sunday night he took the job. Malachi's father, Eric, told The Athletic, "Obviously, Coach Riley is one of the most successful college coaches from the past few seasons. What he's been able to do from an offensive standpoint to get guys into the league and develop, I think this move, not just for us personally, but for the whole nation, is going to draw attention because of the pillar and figure that Coach Riley is." On November 30th, 2021, he would commit to USC, and Nelson would follow through with his commitment, enrolling in January of 2023 with the expectations of backing up Caleb Williams. Heading into USC, there were high expectations for Nelson, with him telling The Athletic, "From my freshman year when Coach Riley was recruiting me, he told me he doesn't recruit quarterbacks unless he thinks they can win the Heisman. So I took that to heart, and that's definitely a goal of mine. Things would not go great for Nelson at USC as he would deal with a labrum issue that set back the start of his career and ultimately cost him the backup quarterback job to Miller Moss. He only played in 4 snaps all season long. The labrum injury went back to his junior year of high school when he tore it on his non-throwing arm after taking a sack. They were able to put his separated shoulder back into place, and he didn't want to miss out on playing his senior season, so he chose not to get surgery. But by the time he was at USC in January of 2023 after graduating early, his body had been overcompensating, and Riley told Eric to get him on campus early and have the surgery. It was a necessary evil. Eric told ESPN last week he didn't have the ability to train during the recovery process. He didn't have the ability to work out, to eat, to lift, and to do the things that needed to be done. So it really kind of set us back. Even while he was able to throw, Malachi would tell Eric he felt like he couldn't rip the ball like he used to, without some sort of discomfort. He needed more time. His only snaps of the season came against San Jose State, and it was a new reality for him. Malachi told ESPN, "I was sitting there thinking after the Nevada game, it was the first game in my entire life I had suited up and not played at least 1 snap. So it was going through the whole season not playing football. It was really difficult for me to not have that." Caleb Williams took Malachi under his wing, and Malachi tried to learn everything he could from him. By the time the season ended, Malachi originally had no intentions to transfer from USC. But once the portal opened up, he began to receive phone calls from teams. Williams had yet to declare for the NFL draft, Miller Moss had just impressed in the bowl game, and it looked like Riley was going to bring in a veteran player for the first season in the Big Ten. Malachi decided the best thing for his career was to transfer because he really missed playing the game of football. He would have a tough conversation with Lincoln Riley, telling ESPN, "I broke down. Obviously he wasn't happy for me to go, but he cares about me, and there was no hard feelings. It was something I didn't think I would ever have to do, but walking out of there, it was a weight lifted off my shoulders. Deep down, I knew it was the right thing." Riley would wish the young quarterback the best and looked out for him when it came to the media telling the press, "Malachi was fantastic here. I'll root for him forever and ever. He's gonna go make somebody a heck of a player." While Miami showed interest in Malachi, he would ultimately choose to go to Boise State, where he would compete for the starting job. He dealt with a major culture shock going from Los Angeles to Boise, Idaho. It was homesick at first, but the team welcomed him in. The Broncos coaches didn't promise anything but a chance to compete for the starting job, alongside sophomore quarterback Maddox Madsen, who threw for 1,191 yards and 9 touchdowns last season. While Madsen would win the starting job to open the season, and that being the reason for this video being made, I think the story is just getting started. Malachi still has 4 years of eligibility left, and came into a program that runs a complex pro-style offense. He has grown and connected with his teammates and has been mentored by both Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud. My bold prediction is he's the starting quarterback midway through the season and leads Boise State to the college football playoff. What do you think? Can Malachi Nelson win the starting job down the road? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.